Hello! Welcome to episode 2 of the Bliss Point podcast. Bliss Point, if you didn't know already, is a website and bi-weekly podcast serving up music discussion, shows, news, show reviews, album reviews, and more. My name is Jordan Kaufman, and I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Billy.
Hey.
Paul.
Salutations.
Hello. Oh, this feels really good. I like it. So before we jump into our regularly scheduled segments, I would like to correct myself, because if you don't hold yourself to any amount of accountability, what can you expect out of this world? So last week, or the 11th, so a week and a half ago, I erroneously said that Black Panther was curated by Top Dog Entertainment, which is not true. It's just Kendrick himself. The Top Dog Entertainment artists are all over that thing, which we'll get into in a little bit.
You could have done a lot worse, man. I confused one of the trailers for that movie with a tie-in car commercial.
that was really funny.
Because it used to run the Jules track.
That was really funny. I'm glad I was there for that reveal. The other thing was Czarface is 7L and Esoteric and the legendary Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang Clan, not just 7L Esoteric. So, now that we got that out of the way, y'all ready for some news? Exciting news?
Lay it on me.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. First up, new Mars Volta? Question mark? Maybe, possibly. Paul's really excited.
Oh, there are no words.
I hate to break it to you, buddy.
No, then just don't.
Okay.
What are the chances?
They've been touring us at the drive-in. They're getting along great.
Yes, that is very true. They are getting along
Trade in
fine.
Every solo release.
Which I don't think is the
Bosnia
issue
Rainbow is okay.
for me.
I would trade in everything
I wonder
he's done
if they're
separate.
ever
Yeah,
going to
that's
put out
fair.
just for
music
another
again.
Mars Volta album.
Yeah, that's fair.
Aren't they in like 7 different bands as well?
Yeah, so they both do
What?
at the drive-in, as you know.
Right.
Omar, the guitarist, he has what, like 50 solo albums to his name or something like that. He's also in a band called Bosnian Rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
And then he and the singer from Mars Volta, i.e. essentially Mars Volta,
Right.
are in another band called Anti-Mask with Flea from the Red Hot Chili
That's
Peppers
right, yeah,
and some other drummer. So yeah, kind of a lot of projects going on. So I'm surprised, to say the least, that they want to come back. But I think it's a good time for it though, because At the Drive-In feels like on the downturn because they had the album come out last year and it was okay and they toured and stuff like that. So
We're
I'm
also
hoping it's good.
talking about a tweet, though.
Yes, yeah, yeah. From what veracity you can derive from a tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard thing is actually, are we gonna get anything out of
Right,
it? Because
right.
it was a tweet in passing, like, yeah,
Just
we'll be
a
back.
Response to a fan.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
Are you implying that Cedric Bixler Savala would ever be impulsive about something?
No, I'm not. Okay. Moving on. New Black Star with Madlib, apparently. Speaking of tweets and social media and stuff like that.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, this one does have, I didn't write down the guy's name, but a guy on Reddit went to a Madlib show, recorded audio and everything of him saying, and him by, I mean, Yasin Bey or Mostaf came out and said, new Black Star with Madlib, Talib Kweli, and Yasin coming soon. So that seems more true than anything, than a passing tweet. But for what it's worth, Talib has said in the past that there would be a very small chance of a new album coming out. So we'll see. I don't know. I feel like it is time for them to actually get together and do something political and really cool.
I can see it happening.
It's only been anticipated for what, 1.5 decades?
Probably. Yeah, when did that happen? Do you know? I should have wrote that
Late
down.
90s?
Late 90s?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's been like 2 decades.
Okay.
People have been waiting for it.
And that album is so fucking good. So, and that's the other thing. Is it actually going to be good? But we'll see. Who knows? I believe that they can do it.
Their body work's pretty consistent.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Billy, did you ever get a chance to try that Run the Jules beer?
I did not.
In your travels?
I did not.
I think one of our buddies, Matt, may have in his travels to New York City.
Okay.
Because I think Interborough is up there, I believe.
Yes, he was telling me it's in Queens, I believe.
That sounds right. I know I've been to the brewery that collaborated with Interborough.
Okay.
But this was a long time ago, like before With the Jewels, I think. So they're coming out with a new beer, Panther Like a Panther Stout, which is an awesome name. It sounds delicious. The other one was very, very hyped. A lot of people loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I would love to try it someday. It's being distributed fairly regularly, so I would love to get my hands on it. But that also, they're coming up with a Legend Has It Pilsner and a Down Double IPA. And then on 420, they're releasing a CBD infused version of the Down Double IPA, but it's only available in Europe. So that's pretty neat. I think
Yeah.
it's a neat collaboration. And the guys the guys around the drill seem to like it a lot. So I think it's a neat way to promote your band.
For sure.
It's a fun tie-in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a good money maker.
Oh God, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. They probably make royalties off that?
Oh,
They have
for
to,
sure.
right? Yeah.
They get tons of cash from that.
They're probably. I wonder if was the beer out when we saw them at Echo Stage. Like, I wonder if they like trail. They probably don't trail around like a truck full of beer and sell it at shows. That would be kind of cool.
That would be cool. That would be smart.
That would be really.
That would
neat.
be cool if they just canned it and brought it to venues that they played at.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be.
I would actually get to try it for once.
Hip hop neckbeards rejoiced.
There you go.
Very true. Yeah. There's. Whew. How do you guys feel about rock and roll?
In general.
I
Yeah.
hear it's coming back.
Maybe.
Mr. White, are you sure about this? Do you have your pulse on what the kids are doing?
So, Mr. Jack White, legendary hermit, or I guess hermit isn't the right word. What's the word that I'm thinking of?
Genius curmudgeon.
Luddite is the word that I'm thinking of. Also, that's a good term. Thinks that rock and roll just needs an injection of some new young blood in order to get started again. I don't know how I feel about that. In most recent years, I feel like hip hop is the new rock and roll in terms of like the modern era. And I don't know. I haven't heard anything worthwhile in terms of straight rock and roll. I'm not talking about punk rock. I'm not talking about metal or anything like that. I'm talking about like the Greta Van Fleets of the world. Like I don't find them interesting enough or different enough to say that rock and roll's coming back. You know?
Yeah, the other thing about across a bunch of genres is just the trend is throwback.
Right.
Everything now.
Yes.
Just throwback to 80s, 90s style stuff. I'm over it a little bit.
Yeah.
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 And something he said in the article was that it seems that every 10 to 12 years is when rock and roll kind of spikes again, and
Right.
it's due to something he quotes as wild, and whatever that is. If maybe that is a throwback, and you're just going to a previous decade,
Yeah,
pulling
maybe
something out, and
maybe I'm conflating like maybe the synth pop rock focused of today is the rock and roll that he's referring to. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I was gathering based on his knowledge and what he likes to play and everything that he was talking about strictly rock and roll. So I
yeah,
don't
and I'm
know.
thinking it's not even stuff that we have heard yet, but maybe stuff that
Sure.
he knows of that will be emerging over the
Okay.
next couple of years.
Yeah,
And
okay.
maybe he's saying that's what's out right now
Okay.
isn't necessarily what he defines as rock and roll or wild rock and roll, but what's on the rise is something that will.
Right.
If you feel like the same rules of fashion, for instance, apply to music, then it's all cycles. So
Right.
it's just really a matter of time before people want that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, some people will always want that.
Yeah, of course. So Netflix, in their long line of producing series that usually never pan out, this one I'm actually kind of excited for. They're producing a live-action series based on Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, his comic book series, The Umbrella Academy, which follows the estranged members of a dysfunctional family of superheroes as they try to solve the mystery of their father's death, which sounds really cool in terms of concept. I don't know how I feel about it being live action. I feel like it might be kind of lame. I don't know.
I mean, half the appeal of that was his illustration.
Right,
Or
right.
no, did he tap somebody else for that?
He may have helped. I should have looked that up. I know it's him and another guy, I think, that run the whole Umbrella Academy series.
Because I read it. It looks really good. I could see where they could adapt it for live action. 'Cause
Right,
They probably
right.
have a similar feel to that. Oh, goodness. There was a movie that came out a few years ago about a bunch of kids, The Peculiars.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I think a Tim Burton thing. But,
Oh, yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
see Tim Burton making something
Oh,
like that.
absolutely.
But
This is right up his alley.
the fact they do this doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
The the artist that's tapped to be a part of it otherwise is what surprises me.
Yeah. Mary J. Blige is I guess the cast has been released, but she was like the main one.
Is she the biggest name on the list?
Yeah, I think so. And she is playing what I'm assuming is the main suspect. She plays a hit woman who travels through time, which sounds really fucking cool. So I'm interested. I know she's done acting work in the past, but I can't say that I could speak to any of it. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I don't know. It could be interesting. It could just be another weird Netflix thing that I pass over, you know.
Is there any news on like a correlation with music to this series? Is she contributing? Is Gerard Way going to contribute? Is it not even going to play a role in the series?
I don't know. It would be awesome if he had a hand in the
Is
music.
My Chemical Romance coming back?
I was gonna say they just repurposed Black Parade.
Honestly, one of the main reasons I put this in here is like I want to make sure that they're all still alive so that they can come back so I can see them one time because I've never seen them
At the Vans Warped Tour farewell show this summer?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they're never going to tour again. Thundercat is... So last summer, a famous chopped and screwed DJ released a chopped not slopped version of his album that came out last year, I believe, called Drunk. Did you guys listen to Drunk at all?
No.
Okay. I thought you and I had talked about Drunk before, Paul. Maybe not. It's okay. It's weird.
I listen to what he says.
It's weird and very him. And I thought this was a really cool thing because it's one of the first things I remember of a DJ remixing an album and then the label that owns the album saying, hey, that's really cool. Let's put that out on vinyl. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a really cool move by Brainfeeder, which is Flying Lotus's label. Excuse me. So I think it could be really neat. I haven't heard the chopped not soft version, so I don't know if it's any good. But it seems really cool either way. Let's get into what have we been listening to, and I think we should start that off with some show reviews.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Billy, I want to hear about Floor.
Okay. So I went to Floor last night. The show is at DC9. There's a sign above the bar that says capacity 145 people, I believe.
They don't follow that ever.
It was a bit tight. It's a very small venue, very low ceiling, low stage, kind of in the corner. It's not one of those like head-on stages either. It's kind of
like there's no
setup.
Backstage. They just kind of walk through the crowd to get on
they
the
actually
stage.
Oh my gosh, yes, they do.
That's kind of cool.
They traditionally do an encore, I guess, being a headliner. And so it came time for the encore. And the lead singer's like, I'm just going to stay up here because there's no way to get off this stage. And the rest of the band is like trying to get off the stage
oh my God.
Through the crowd.
That's
and
perfect.
like the one like security guard's got the flashlight.
Yeah.
And the lead singer's like, what are you guys doing? Just stay up here. Like, this is stupid.
Let's not pretend.
Yeah,
we all
exactly.
know.
And needless to say, they actually got off the stage, walked through the crowd,
Oh my
just
God.
to walk back through the crowd.
That's really lame.
It was yeah. But the show was incredible. If you listen to Floor, it comes off as kind of synthy, electronica, more dreamy, but live there's a lot more raw energy. It's a lot louder. It's a lot more energetic.
Okay.
Vocalist is spot on.
Was this the guy that you're telling me he doesn't sound like he doesn't look like he sounds? Maybe not.
He's a very tiny dude with like long curly red hair.
Yeah.
Multi-instrumentalist. Plays keys, plays guitar,
Nice.
vocals. The show was incredible. It was, I think, a tinier venue for them.
Sure.
To give you an idea, kind of what they sound like is they're on Fueled by Ramen now. So they recently opened up for like Paramore. So they do have that kind of like pop sound.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. The drummer goes all out every night. I also saw them at the Meadows in New York over the summer, where they had a little bit more room to work with, a little bit more stage room, and they go wild. Drummer just goes all out. I mean, puts so
That's
much energy
awesome.
behind
Yeah.
playing, which I always love to see.
Which you really need, honestly, in like
Yeah.
a band that small. Like to come out and just kind of stay in there is like,
Right.
I mean, you get that a dime a dozen, you know, but it's awesome to see a
Yeah.
band that's like super into it.
Yeah, so I mean, the set list was great, had a good flow to it. They played a ton of tracks, so I was stoked. It was a good show.
That's awesome. Do they have an album out anytime soon or recently?
They released an album back in the spring and recently released a deluxe album with 3 more songs.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Right before the tour started. So I think kind of in promotion of the tour.
Okay.
And really, because it's their only album.
Sure.
I think just to give them more material to work with to headline a tour.
That is rough. Okay,
Because,
yeah.
you know, they only had, 10 songs or whatever.
Oh, damn.
So
They didn't play covers, did they?
they did.
Oh, they did? Okay.
They played one cover.
Okay.
Well,
I always
they've
wonder
released before.
how bands like that pad out their set
It's
lists
a
if they have,
cover
like,
of
10
Post
songs.
Malone.
Oh, no shit.
Actually,
What's
whatever.
on?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
it
don't
was
know
just
the
a
stuff. I just knew a bunch of 14-year-old girls knew the lyrics. So I
okay,
was like,
fair
this
enough.
is probably Post Malone.
Billy, he worked hard to
You don't
make
even
turn on
know.
music just
I'm
for
not
you.
sure it's Post Malone. That's my guess based on every little girl
okay.
there knowing the lyrics.
That's cool. I'm okay with that. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you had a fun time.
Thanks.
Paul, do you want to talk about Snarky Puppy?
Oh, it was so good.
It was really good.
Where were we? The Fillmore? I don't pay attention to these things.
Yeah. Fillmore Silver Spring.
Yeah, just excellent. Anyone who doesn't know them, really good jazz fusion group. I was actually turned on to them by a good friend of mine, Pat, some years back. But just really solid group. The band leader is the bassist, and
It's fucking incredible.
it's very accessible. If you're not the
they
biggest
really are.
jazz
Yeah.
fan, it can be a good intro to that sort of thing. They have a lot of funk kind of stuff that they throw in there. It's just very solid.
Yeah, I definitely like. I have to catch myself because I always feel self-conscious, but I definitely had like white guy stank face all night, just like vibing out, like just the grooves that they have, and they're so tight together, and they just click so well. They sound amazing live, and like I was worried about. I think we've talked about this before. How Fillmore, at least to me, has some of the worst sound in the area. I think.
I love their sound.
I know you like their sound. A lot of the times that I've been here, it's been garbage. But to be fair, the last few times that I've been, it's been really good. Like when we saw Coheed there, they were awesome.
Right, yeah.
But Snarky Puppy, I feel like, were you telling me that they typically only pick venues where like they can decide how the sound's set up and everything?
You know, everything. I think that's only when they're recording a live album, which is something they do fairly often.
Sure.
They'll do shows where they're filming and they're recording,
Right.
and they sort of situate the band around the audience.
Okay.
Much smaller. I mean, I've seen videos where everyone in the audience is wearing headphones.
Oh, that's cool.
mixing
Okay.
it. But this was more traditional setup.
Okay.
Very solid. Everybody was very entertaining. The
Yeah.
organ player doubled as a hype man.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they had a hand in the sound. But I will give credit where credit's due. They sounded amazing live. They sounded really good. It was mixed really well. Really funny guys, like very, very nice. They brought out this girl for their opener who is on their label. Her new album came out like last week or something like that. Tiny Russian girl has this incredible voice, like very sultry, very raspy, like old school jazzy voice. Oh, it's so good.
I think she won Best New Artist at the Montreal Jazz Festival this past year.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Really good songstress. Like basically every song on that album she wrote herself except for one.
Okay.
But just very good. I'm sure we can put up her name on the website later.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it because I was afraid I'd butcher it. So I will definitely put it up with some sort of posting or something,
By
just
the
because
way,
she totally deserves it.
That band leader and bassist is from Northern Virginia.
Oh, right. Yes, I forgot
Really?
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a really neat little. I always like that fun fact. Like, oh, sweet, we do have somebody from here that's useful.
Yeah. But he kept pulling on that thread. He like shout out Chuck Levins, 10 guys in the
Yeah.
audience. Woo!
Yeah, woo! I've been there before.
I don't want to be negative, but there was this one moment though, the encore. They decided to use the first song of the encore to showcase one of their other artists, who's just a very poppy sort of artist from Sweden.
Super different.
Yeah, not like if you're into that sort of thing, not bad, but I had that moment where I thought they were going to leave us on that, and I was a little salty about
See
it.
you later. Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel bad just because I feel like I feel obligated to check out the rest of her stuff just because I don't know if it just didn't play well live or what it was. It just was not great.
So what's the verdict?
On.
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
Oh, no, I haven't listened to it yet. So
Good luck, friend.
I will eventually, yeah. And the last one, I saw Noel Gallagher from Oasis at the Anthem last week. I saw him with my wife, and he sounds amazing for how old he is. He's not that old, but like he sounds really, really good.
Did you get angry when you saw him with your wife?
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry.
The mixing was not great. I was really hoping.
Really?
Yeah. I was really hoping for more or
you
for
guys
something better.
We're like center, right?
Yeah, we were pretty much
Yeah.
center. It wasn't terrible. I wish the vocals were a little bit higher in the mix, but I feel like that's usually the case for a lot of shows anyways. It was a little loud.
I can see that.
Yeah, for my tastes. He played a lot of his solo stuff, which a lot of it I like a good deal of. The newer stuff I'm not totally familiar with. So it was unfortunate that this was like that album tour because he played a lot of that. But of course he played the Oasis hits and that was really cool. So it was really neat seeing him and definitely something that I get to check off my list because I've always wanted to see him. So he's very good live if you ever get the chance to see him. He's awesome. Okay, let's get into singles. So these are things usually related to new albums coming out or tours or whatever. And the first one on here was an album that I was kind of excited for. Haven't really been into them since like high school. A Perfect Circle. If you don't know, that's Maynard James Keenan's other band, not named Tool. And they've always been kind of closer to the new metal, heavy rock crowd, less progressive, like Tool is. And this new song is okay. I know, Billy, you didn't like it.
Well, not a fan, but I've also never been a fan.
Well, that's totally fair. I definitely don't blame either of you for not liking it because it's about as close as butt rock as I'm going to listen to. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't want to just like trash it.
no.
I mean, that like amateur vocal delay effect at
sure.
first verse just like threw me right off.
The first time I heard it, I liked it, but the second time we heard it, I was like, does he do it every line? It's weird.
Overdone. Yeah. It sounds very amateur.
Yes, absolutely. And their sound, and it may just be this song, it sounds a little outdated, considering the time. I think Maynard sounds really good still. I've always liked him as a vocalist, and I think he's still the best thing about that band. So I'm still curious to see what this new album sounds like. So speaking of bad things, the new Muse song is not good.
Not great at all.
It is not good. I wanted to confirm this because I felt I had read it. And I wanted to make sure. The song is about memes.
Is it really?
Which makes me hate it even more. Like the chorus about like getting bitten and like being infected with thought contagion.
Right.
And then realizing that it's about fucking memes.
It's so stupid.
It's so lame. It's very, very corny. And it's very in line with the last couple albums. Just being really heavy handed. Like beating you over the head with like their political agenda and like whatever. Like if that's what they want to do, that's fine. I at least thought that their last album still sounded like them, and this sounds even less like them. I think anyway, with those terrible millennial like
dude
or whatever
those woes.
Yes, the woes. Yeah, those are awful and very out of character for them. So I was really disappointed. This new voice track is kind of neat. What do you guys think about it?
I actually didn't mind it. I thought like those distorted keys were a pretty interesting sound.
Yeah.
and blended with his vocals very well.
It's got that weird. I was trying to think of what it reminds me of, and the best thing I could think of was like 70s gospel organ.
Yes.
Like
yes.
very old school, like kind of cheesy organ sound, but his like, were his vocals auto-tuned maybe? So it felt like they aligned very well with the organ, which I thought was kind of neat, and not in a bad way. If you didn't know already, the Voids are Julian Casablancas' new project with this band that he has. And the song's just really weird and dark.
He's from The Strokes, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
Julian is from The Strokes.
It's very much not like The Strokes.
No.
Yeah, it's nice to see kind of a different side of it.
Yeah.
Less raw. I mean, I prefer The Strokes, but
I think it definitely cements him as an innovator in that kind of scene, because The Strokes were so different at the time, and now that kind of sound has played out. So it's cool to hear him doing new things and exciting things.
Yeah.
So I had never heard this original Moon River. I did not hear the Audrey Hepburn version before. Or at least I thought I hadn't, but then when we listened to it, I recognized what it was. It's very much a wedding song.
Yes, it's classical, like cocktail or dinner hour wedding.
Very
track.
classy. Yes, I'd believe it. But Frank Ocean's cover, delivered to us on Valentine's Day of Moon River, is gorgeous. I think it's
really
awesome.
good.
I could not have cared about it less until I actually heard it.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, especially if you know what the song is going into it, you're like, Frank, why? Like, you can do so much more. But, like, he treats it with a sense of class and simplicity that I thought was really nice. And the original is very simple to begin with, but I think he puts his own spin on it, which was really nice.
Yeah, it actually sounds like a Frank Ocean track too.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Really
And that's
interesting.
important, too. It sounds different enough as a cover.
Exactly. Yes, very much so. New Beach House album on the way. Did you like Depression Cherry, Billy?
I did, yeah.
You did? Okay. I remember liking it. I still am a big fan of like Teen Dream era.
Yes.
And thought that everything else was just okay. So this was kind of cool for me to see how different it was for them. Feels very psychedelic, as evidenced by that weird video that we watched.
Yeah.
Beach House Lemon Glow is the song, or rather the band is Beach House. The song is Lemon Glow. And they have a new album coming out soon, I believe. I don't know how I feel about the vocals though.
I mean, what did you not like about them?
So this may be my problem with Beach House in general. I think that her vocals are just too faint all the time.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, and
she continues that for sure.
And it never feels like she's a very passionate, strong vocalist. Except for that one, the I'll Take Care of You song. I think she's really good in that song.
Yeah.
But I think she's so unremarkable most of the time. And this feels worse in that way. Like, I don't feel like she was very high in the mix.
No, she's not
different.
She doesn't sit high in the mix at all on the track. And I think that the track just has a good flow to it. It's very dreamy.
Yeah.
It's got some cool layered effects on it, and it all just blends together really well and flows really well. I was a fan of it.
Yeah, I definitely like it. It has me excited for what this album's going to sound like.
Definitely.
G Flip, About You. This is a Australian bedroom producer. Very catchy, simple pop song.
I loved it.
You did?
I was not expecting to like it that much, and I loved it.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it, too.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
It's super catchy.
Yeah, it's good. I like her aesthetic.
Yeah.
I like the choices and the mixing.
Yeah. I thought I think some of it was live drums. Some of it may have sounded MIDI.
Well, what me and Paul watching the video noticed that she is a really good drummer. So
nice.
I had to look it up. And she started as a drummer.
Oh, cool.
And then transitioned into a instrumental
That's cool.
musician.
It faked me out because I wasn't in the video. It kind of looks like she's not playing the bass. She's just holding it.
Right.
But then it shows her on kit and tearing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was real, and it was good to see that.
That's cool. I did not know that when I had heard it. It's really cool, and I thought the production was really different. And
it's very like I don't know, lo-fi and like indie pop.
Yeah,
like
and the beat or the synth or whatever the hell she's using in the background is like not catchy at all.
No,
like it
but
relies totally on her voice, which I think is really cool and different. So yeah, last one on here. I know Paul's excited for new Courtney Barnett single, album, and tour. She's coming close to us, which is cool.
You don't know me.
So how did you feel about it, Paul? I know you said you like the acoustic stuff a lot. But.
I do, because I'm coming straight off. Been listening to a lot of that album she did with Kurt Vile.
Yeah,
but no, very solid. With her, she's just very consistent. Like there's not necessarily much to note. It changes from her previous work, but it's always really solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. Yeah, I agree. I loved her last album. I forget the name of it, which is awful. But she definitely does have a very distinct style, but she doesn't usually leave that style. But I thought this song was the most interesting lyrically that she's done. I don't know if you could tell, but it was very much about being scared it's about being scared of just doing normal activities as a woman. So like the chorus is talking about her wanting to be able to walk alone at night and not have to worry about creeps and stuff like that. And she talks about kind of sarcastically how she feels bad about these guys that are angry and whatnot at her for no reason, and a little bit about white supremacy and the stuff that's going on. So I thought it was really interesting lyrically, and it's really catchy as hell. So she's awesome. Very much looking forward to her next album for sure.
Did you place that strategically to move into the next part? Because that's clever.
Yeah, I did actually. No, I didn't do that on purpose. Speaking of next parts, new releases. So definitely I want to talk about, we wanted to touch on things that we came out recently and we weren't in love with, but definitely wanted to mention because there's a lot of good music out there. And even these things below have a lot of merits that I definitely wanted to mention. So first, let's talk about Black Panther soundtrack. You guys listen to it? Mm-hmm.
A bit.
But yeah,
no, a couple tracks.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it should be. Honestly, I listened to the whole thing quite a few times just to get a feel for it. I'm still not entirely sure where I land on it. I don't love it. I don't hate it either. I think the singles are really good.
Does it sound more like a compilation, or does it sound like an album?
Very much sounds like a compilation. I think I'm willing to give it more of a pass because it's a movie soundtrack.
But no, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We were kind of poking fun last time we met about people being upset because they're thinking of it as a Kendrick album.
Right.
And when you're coming off to Pimp a Butterfly and you compare it against something like that has kind of a central theme and just moves flawlessly.
Right.
Yeah, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
But if you look at it for what it is,
right,
it's solid.
Yeah, it is. It has the trappings of everything that I normally would love. It's got sleek production. It's got really nice beat selection. All the features are really good. Kendrick sounds great per usual. He doesn't. I think the worst knock or the biggest knock on this album is that I don't feel like he needs to be on every track, and he is.
Right. I
think some songs could. And I could be making this up. He may not be on everything, but he's on pretty much everything. And there's some songs that are better than others, but I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially with the cultural zeitgeist that is that movie right now.
Right.
I think it's definitely interesting. New Pianos Become the Teeth, Billy. Where we at? Where we at?
We're undecided. It's been out a few days, so I haven't had the chance to give it several listens.
Yeah.
But I've given it a few. First listen, wasn't totally sold. The tracks that seemed to stand out the most were the tracks they released as their first few singles.
Yes.
Kind which is always kind of a disappointment when there's nothing deeper.
Right. You hope that like, oh, this shit's awesome. Like the rest of the album's gonna be as good.
Right, and you're gonna be able to grab a couple extra tracks out of the whole album that you think are even better than the singles they release, kind of deal.
Yeah.
It just didn't have the same appeal that Keep You had for me. It wasn't as catchy. Obviously, their sound is so unique and so theirs.
Yes.
But when you change themes so dramatically from being so dark to lyrically being happy, I don't know if it loses some of that dimension.
Yeah, at least for me, it didn't feel like, and it may not be my place to say because I don't know the guy, but it doesn't feel like his heart was as in these songs as it was on Keep You.
That's rough because he's talking about his wife and kids.
I know that's really bad to say, but I'm happy that he's happy. But I also, like, none of these songs really resonated with me all that much. And that lead single, Charisma, was like, this is awesome.
It was so good,
very
right?
much looking forward to this.
I was cool with that, like, little bit of change as well, because, like, Charisma was a little bit poppier than anything on Keep You, but it still had that drive and that catch that most of the other tracks on the album just don't have.
No, definitely not. And there's one song, I keep forgetting what it's called. It's like,
Are you talking about Bay of Dreams?
Bay of Dreams.
That
yes.
just straight loses you.
Kills the vibe. It's like in the dead center of the track, and it's the dead center of the track list, and it's the slowest song on the album.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Album is Wait for Love, by the way. Pianos Become the Teeth. Wait for Love. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I may listen to it some more to see if I change my mind.
I don't dislike it.
No, me neither. Me neither.
I just hold that other album in such high regard that it just didn't compare to that.
Yes, very much. Paul, Loma.
Okay, so this is one I was really looking forward to. I think when I spoke to you about it last, I probably came off as a little disappointed about it. But the more times I listened to it, it really started to grow on me. Really solid. Kind of hard to describe, to tell you the truth.
Because it's kind of all over the place, which is kind of why I liked it so much. Like, it's got some like noise to it. It's got some dark R&B. It's got like these upbeat kind of folk-driven tracks, which I thought were really cool.
Yeah, so it's actually a collaboration between the frontman from Shearwater, Jonathan Myberg.
Okay.
Never been a huge Shearwater fan. You can recognize he's a really good songwriter.
Sure.
I think the barrier to entry for me for Shearwater was his vocal style. Just
right.
Doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
But they were recently touring, and the opening act was a band called Cross Record, and that's mainly, or it was, a husband and wife duo.
Okay.
Emily Cross has a really haunting, kind of ethereal, wispy voice, and I read people's write-ups on it, and I was trying to avoid using that word, but there's no other way to say it. It's just
it's
this
pretty
really
perfect.
haunting, faint kind of thing. But
the
way it's mixed, she doesn't get lost or anything.
Yeah, no.
But so they were touring off an album I think came out 2016, 2015 called Wabi Sabi, and it was her vocals. The husband is a multi-instrumentalist, does some really good stuff, kind of borders on noise in places. Okay. But pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then there was a big influence of, they worked with a percussionist named, what was it, Thor?
Oh, that name sounds so familiar.
Yeah, I'm actually blanking on it at the moment, but really good marimba and kalimba player. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that influence seeped into this project, because the idea was that Jonathan Myberg from Shearwater was watching them play their set before they go on, and he really liked what they were doing.
Okay.
So I think the idea was he really wanted to write music for someone else's voice.
Okay.
And the combination works out pretty well.
Yeah, I think you can definitely... It feels like a good blending of the three of them together. That I feel like they meld very well.
Yeah, I like his writing style for her voice. And I like, in the mix, the percussion's always really interesting. Yeah. That's why I feel like that's Thor's influence. Because, not normal kit. not necessarily marimba or vibes or
Sure.
anything, but for one, very different sounds, almost like they're using improvised percussion in places.
Right.
And then on top of that, the way it's mixed makes it sound as if it was all recorded in the same room.
Right.
Which
okay. Yeah, that's
works very well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I the production on that album is really, really good. I think it definitely lends itself well to that band. It doesn't feel. I hate to just say it's produced really well because that sounds like there's a generic production that goes really well with everything. I think their production fits them very, very well, and it's also produced very nicely.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
It's definitely not like a sing-along album.
Right.
But if you're looking to hear something a little bit different and kind of have an experience, it's good. Definitely on the slower side.
Yeah, I agree. It's a neat album for sure. Alrighty. We want to get into my favorite part of this week. Album of the week. Excited?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very excited because of all of our picks, I did not expect to. Not to say that you guys chose bad albums.
What are you trying to say, Jordan?
I think that's exactly what he's trying to say.
That's what it sounds like you're saying.
No, I didn't expect to love both of your albums much more than I did.
So I was expecting all of you to have terrible taste.
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely expecting to carry you guys on my back the whole time. No, it was really, really good picks this week, I think. So who wants to start? Anybody? I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. I'll make it easy. Because I don't know how you guys feel about this album.
Yes, you do.
I like it a lot. I think it's really, really cool and it's really different. But the vocal style is very, very grating and very different. But I want to hear what you guys thought.
I thought that they had exhausted all of the David Bowie tracks that had been recorded.
Damn.
Yeah,
No, it's good. It's just not my favorite.
It's not for you.
I lost me with the vocals as well.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's worse in some places than it is in others.
Yeah.
I actually, in doing research for this album, I found that even fans of the band before were having trouble getting into the vocals. And they were trying to discern why he did it. And is
that not his normal style?
Kind of. Before I go any further, I should say what the band is and what the album is. The band is Ought, and the album is Room Inside the World. And the singer Tom Darcy didn't have like a typical vocal style. It was definitely kind of off kilter and weird. But I was listening to their first album before you guys came over, and it's definitely not as out of control as it is on this album. He's definitely lower in the mix. It's a little wilder and more raw in terms of the instrumentals. And this album feels way more glossy and way more put together. And I really like that a lot. I thought the instrumentals on this thing were really, really cool.
I agree with that.
And that's the thing that sucks is because I wish I don't mind the vocals. They're not my favorite. But as I listened to this album more and more, I kind of got used to them and kind of liked them.
Yeah.
But I feel like if the vocals were a little more normal, I feel like people would give this album more of a chance because the production is incredible. Like the bass sounds so good on this thing. And the instrumentals just from track to track are just so good. I'm trying to think of, there's like this really cool like oboe solo on the second track. And there's a neat like drum guitar breakdown with the oboe on top. That's really, really neat. And most of the lyrics on here are like really dark and kind of heart-wrenching. From what I could gather and figure out on my own, it seems like a lot of this album is about losing faith in society and kind of dealing with, dark people and mean people and having to come to terms with that and what it means for you as a person. So I thought it was really neat, but I totally understand why you guys wouldn't be into it. But definitely some similar bands. Nick Cave, the vocal style is... Nick Cave, I think, has a very similar timbre to his voice, not necessarily style. It's a little more pleasing. Proto Martyr is another post-punk band that's really, really cool. It's very similar. Same thing with Ice Age. And my favorite tracks for Room Inside the World are Into the Sea, Disgraced in America, and Desire. I thought those were really good.
Cool.
All right. Who's be next? Eh?
I don't mind going.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm not sure if you might think I got this one in on a little bit of a technicality.
I don't think so.
So Car Seat Headrest, real indie darling, great singer-songwriter. I like to think of him as kind of like the hardest working man in indie rock. He's been around since like I think 2009, somewhere around there. But in a 4-year span, he produced like 11 albums and released them on Bandcamp.
That dude's a beast.
Yeah, and so one of those albums, he decided to go back and change some stuff up on, just redo it.
Yeah.
He signed with Matador, and I think that was one of his stipulations was they allow him to go back and redo that, which I'd like to kind of...
Okay, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah,
okay.
and I'd like to kind of touch back on that a little bit more at the end.
Yeah.
Just because the idea that some of these indie fans push forward is kind of weird to me. But anyway, just to kind of talk about the album first, really interesting thing. The one he released in 2011 was very, very raw. A lot of experimental things about it. He's not afraid to kind of change up song structure a bit. And there's a couple tracks on here that clock in like 13, 16 minutes. You can almost think of it as sort of a concept album.
Yeah.
But to me, everything that's good about that, none of the things that kind of give me pause when I hear that sort of thing.
Yes.
But really great sort of indie rock sound. The thing with it, there's tracks like Stop Smoking. And when you put something like that in comparison to the longer, kind of more epic tracks, it's almost like a little palate cleanser. It's like a little, minute and 12-second palate cleanser in between these longer tracks. But it's what he does with the arrangements and things that kind of get me. He'll do things like, I think there was one called High to Death, and he'll switch like bar to bar or measure to measure.
Yep.
He'll do a very slow arpeggio, and then the next bar he's strumming a chord pattern.
Yes.
And it almost sounds like it should be disjointed and not work, but it works perfectly.
It's very manic.
Yeah, there's some moments on there, like let's see, Beach Life and Death. It's almost like you can hear a chorus from a Fun song. And that's the band Fun.
Right, yes.
The concept. It's almost like
a better song.
Yeah, it's almost like Fun is performing in the same building far away.
Right.
And once again, doesn't seem like it should be related to what he's doing, but it works very well.
And that one's like 13 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the longer ones.
It goes places.
And it's put right before that track I was talking about earlier, that Stop Smoking. So then all of a sudden you get a very short little acoustic track.
Right.
And then move on from there. I think that's the only song that clocks in under 5 minutes is Stop Smoking.
I think so.
But it's interesting. Even later in the album, he'll have tracks that make references back to stuff earlier on.
Yes.
It's almost symmetrical, which is kind of neat.
Yep. That Stop Smoking thing comes up at least one more time, I think.
But Sober to Death was really good. That's probably my favorite. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. If anyone is into that sort of thing, I highly recommend it. And then the concept I wanted to come back to was this. When you get into the indie crowd, and especially the real hip folks that they were the first to find it on Bandcamp, and they feel like, oh, why would you go back and redo something? We liked it more raw sounding. Yeah. And there's something to that. I think we've all experienced a phenomenon where the first version of a song you heard was what you hearken to.
Right.
But music as an artistic medium is different in that it really lends itself to not performing it the same way every night. So why not do that in the studio? Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's a really inspiring story for someone who's a bedroom producer, because here's a guy who worked his ass off, got signed to a label, now he has access to a studio, all the gear he needs, and he got to go back and kind of tighten up his original vision.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really neat because the first version of this was what kind of put him on the map. So to be able to revisit that and to also, like one of the songs he has like 6 minutes to it and like changes up the lyrics a couple times and like is able to really revise and kind of get into the weeds on this album that made him who he is, you know?
Exactly. I'm not even sure I explained. It's Twin Fantasy is the album, by the way.
Yeah, we keep doing that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I was looking this up because I was curious. I hated calling it Twin Fantasy 2018 in parentheses. So I was trying to figure out like why he went back and redid it and everything. The actual title for the original version is Twin Fantasy Mirror to Mirror, and this one's called Twin Fantasy Face to Face. Right. So I thought that was kind of neat, a little different, and just he's so good. If you haven't listened to his other stuff either, you really should, especially if you're a fan of like modern indie rock. Like he is the future of this genre. I think anyway. He's super super talented. And it's got a really interesting, different lyrical mind and the way he talks about things. And also, Northern Virginia fun fact, he grew up around here.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he grew up and or graduated in Leesburg.
What a hotbed of culture.
Wow. Right?
Yeah, if you'd heard of anything from him, it was a 2016 release, Teens of Denial.
Yes.
I think that's his most well-known thing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great album. Love it. You went over your favorite tracks. I love Bodies a lot too.
Yeah.
I thought that song was really neat. He's got a really dumb, there's a line in there. It's got, I have it here. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, good album. Good stuff.
Oh, and I meant going back to what you were talking about earlier, his kind of motivations for doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I hadn't read any interviews with him on the matter, but that's the question, right? Is it more he wasn't able to do certain things when he was originally recording it that were part of his vision, or it might be that he's just developed so much as a musician?
Yeah.
His band's increased to a 7-piece, I think. And they've been doing so much touring, even internationally, that they sound more like a cohesive band now, not just a bunch of good musicians.
Yeah, and I think to touch back on what you were saying about the label allowing him to do this, or rather that being written to his contract, like I think it's really interesting because, especially with modern media, we're seeing a lot with like game re-releases and movie sequels and stuff like that. We really see a lot of that with music. And I think that a lot of albums could really benefit from that. Like I think most recently, the Needle Drop re-reviewed Kanye's latest album after all of the edits and remixing and mastering that he did. And he actually gave it a higher score than he initially did because of how different the album was.
Yeah, and that's their right to do that. They want to release it. Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's neat.
It's not even the first time Will Toledo's done that. It's the first time most notable time he's done it with a full album.
Sure.
But he's been going back and pulling one or two individual tracks for a while.
Okay.
And re-releasing them.
And when you're producing that much music at a rate that fast, I feel like you're recording basically as you're writing almost, you know?
Right.
And so...
And that it almost feels very stream of consciousness.
Right, exactly. So given that extra time to allow him to settle into those tracks and kind of like just be able to adjust them and really curate them a little bit more, I think it's a totally normal thing to go back and just redo what you've added to it.
Absolutely.
Did you get a chance to listen to it, Billy?
I did listen to a little bit of it. Yeah.
What'd you think?
I like it. It's got that good indie vibe that I think. I didn't realize I hadn't listened to the original, to be honest, which was back in.
I'm late to the party.
I did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I listened to it before I listened to the new one.
Yeah.
It's kind of patience testing. If you really like it, I would suggest going back and listening to the original, but it's not, you're not missing anything.
Right, okay.
Yeah, if anything, it makes those songs more accessible to people now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it my turn?
It is.
You bet it is.
All right. Well, I'll start by actually naming my band an album.
Doing it the proper way.
Billy is the only professional.
So the album that I've been really excited to talk about is Cranberry by a band called Howdy.
It definitely is Howdy, right?
Why would you question me right now? I don't know.
It looks like two V's put together, Billy.
So it's HOVVDY, which I'm reading as howdy.
It would be stupid if it was Hovd or Hovd. I'm with you that it's most likely howdy, but I was curious if you were citing on I
just lost all my credibility questioning this.
Sorry.
As I bring it up.
Sorry.
We couldn't have discussed this before we started recording.
Let's start over.
You were pretty high on the horse there for a minute.
I was
Billy, do
riding.
you want to tell us what your album of the week is and who the band is?
I will spell my album of the week.
Yeah,
since
that's good.
Apparently,
can you spell Cranberry
it
for me too?
I don't have nearly as much to say on this album, so I'm going to also let this album kind of speak for itself. I think we'll probably put, our favorite tracks on a playlist.
Yes.
And then have people, have the opportunity to go back and listen to it and kind of judge it that way. Because for me, I actually struggled to kind of define this album and why it sticks to me so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's two dudes from Austin. Just, your basic lo-fi indie kind of, duo.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say pop, but there are aspects of pop in it.
There's some catchy parts.
Yeah. To be honest, it's almost over before you even know it.
It is.
You're listening to it, and it goes by quickly. The tracks are all 3-minute tracks basically, and it flows very quickly.
You were saying
you're wanting more.
Yeah, you were saying that some of the tracks you wanted to keep going a little bit, or you were surprised.
In keeping with what Billy was saying, the first maybe 3/4 of the album, it's just the tracks are short, but they run into each other. Yeah. It's really smooth.
Right.
It's the kind of thing you put on, and before you know it, it's over.
Yes.
I was just saying there were maybe 2 songs on it that they just decided to cut off abruptly, but because everything else was so smooth, it was the only reason I noticed it.
Okay. It clocks in at like 33 minutes or something like that.
It's definitely not long.
It's super short.
One of the standout tracks to me is called Pedal, and it kind of reminds me of like the Death Cab Something About Airplanes era.
Yes.
That's the vibe that I got from it. A couple of the other tracks that stand out are Late, Float, and Quitter.
Late's my favorite.
Dude, Late's my favorite too.
Late,
it's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know what that song is just so catchy, and as soon as it starts, you're like, this is gonna be my favorite track.
Yeah, I think it's just how upbeat it is.
Yeah.
And where it lays in the track list.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole thing is very. It has kind of a similar mood throughout the whole thing, but that one definitely feels like a high point in terms of like dynamics and like it feels emotionally stronger, and I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite track as well, and it sits right there in the middle, like you said. It kind of builds up, it peaks right there, and then it kind of like fades back out. And yeah, I found myself listening to it on repeat. I wasn't expecting to, because the first time I listened to it, I was like, this is very moody. Like, this is going to fill a mood setting for me. And I can listen to it whenever almost. I can listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad you have favorites, and there definitely are high points on it, but I can't imagine not just sitting and listening to it front to beginning to end.
Yeah. It already is one of my most listened to albums this year.
Yeah.
And I like it's so nice and easygoing. Like yesterday I was shaving and then I took a shower and I just had it on in the background like the whole time, and I was like, I just die in the shower just listening to this album. Right. It's so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
I like almost religiously now I just put it on while I'm making dinner.
Oh yeah,
like it's just it's my background noise while I'm cooking.
Yeah, it definitely has that quality. I think my only complaint is that I wish some songs stood out a little bit more.
Agreed.
And I definitely think that cause it was really hard to find the lyrics, because I was really curious to what a lot of the songs were about, and a lot of them are super basic. And I kind of wish that some of them were developed a little bit more, but I also like how short it is and how compact and simple it is. So I don't know. It could be dumb for me to say.
I was almost surprised by how polished it did seem to me.
Yes.
For being so lo-fi and indie, like it's very polished and well put together as well.
Yes.
It's easily the most accessible of our picks for the week.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
You know what I'm saying, in terms of just most people's tastes.
Yeah, I'm glad you said Early Death Cab, because I was racking my brain yesterday trying to think of like bands that were similar, and I was like I kept hearing a song in my head, and I was like, oh, holy shit, it's Early Death Cab.
Yes, it is.
Like, it is very much Early Death Cab.
Yeah, and I wish I read like the Pitchfork review on it or something like that, and they compared it to Weezer. And I was so blown by that.
That's weird.
And I was like questioning everything I thought about it, and whether I should even
like
talk
this
about it
album
anymore because I clearly don't know anything, because this does not sound like Weezer to me.
I think the rule there is
never listen to Pitchfork.
Don't listen to Pitchfork.
Yeah, I read a write-up on Car Seat Headrest, like my pick from earlier, and I don't know, they were talking about it as like teen angsty and relatable to college rock. I think that sells it so short.
Yeah, it really does.
You have to take everyone's opinion with a grain of salt.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I got the Early Death Cab. Have you listened to Alex G at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. I thought that was very similar to this. And I even got, at risk of mentioning them, I even got a little Pine Grove in there as well.
Fun fact, I did not know this, but they actually opened for Pine Grove.
No shit.
Yeah, so funny you say that.
There you go.
Okay, awesome.
Look at
Apparently
you
they
knowing
think
your
there's a
stuff.
connection too.
Yeah.
I feel really good. Oh, I didn't mention. Did you guys have anything else on Cranberry? No.
Nope.
No, it's
Okay.
really solid.
I didn't mention car seat headrest stuff. Jeff Rosenstock and Cloud Nothings remind me a lot of Car Seat Headrest. So if you do like Car Seat Headrest or you like those bands, check out Vice Versa. I wanted to mention that.
I'm glad you said that, because I was having a hard time just comparing it to anything.
It's hard. He, as familiar as that sound is, it's so hard to classify him and find something comparable, because there really is nothing.
Do you
like
find
him.
the vocals kind of lo-fi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he so when I was reading about that album, the original, he recorded the vocals on a laptop microphone.
Yep.
And I think even though he is a much better songwriter and producer now, I'm pretty sure he still does very much lo-fi vocal recordings.
Right, that's just his style.
Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. I think that's it. That's all she wrote.
That's all the
Ladies and
music
gentlemen.
right now.
Yeah, that's all the music that has ever been released. There's nothing else coming out. Nothing else worthwhile. Anyway, just kidding. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for showing up, Paul and Billy. I appreciate it. This was fun. I liked
Thanks
it.
for showing up to
Did
work,
you
guys.
think we weren't going to come? Or were you just
No, I
setting
mean, like
everything up,
I knew you were gonna come, but like I just would have sat here by myself, reading into a microphone,
changing your voice
like a robot. Yeah. Hey, it's me, Billy. Hey, I'm Paul. Hey guys, how's it going? Those are really terrible impressions of you guys.
I like, though, that I get to be the lower voice.
Yeah, I was super high pitched there.
I'm a tenor one, son.
It would be very hard to distinguish between both of your voices and mine. So please check us out on iTunes. We are on there now. We're on iTunes. We have a website. We're for real. You can leave us a review, which would be awesome. Only good ones, though. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at BlissPointPod. And visit our minted new pretty website, bliss.house. That's bliss.haus. For more content. We're going to be doing... I want to do playlists of stuff that we talked about this week. There'll be posts up, and then this episode will go up very soon. So please check us out and do all the things like share, subscribe. You know how it is.
I love it. We make it very easy.
Yeah.
We serve it right to them. They don't have to
super
run around
easy.
Spotify.
Super easy. Thanks, guys. Bye.